Hey, my name's Anthony.
My name's Alex.
And we are
the PTA Podcast. All right, welcome back to another episode of the PTA Podcast. I'm your host, Alex, and I'm riding solo today. Just me on this episode, so don't get sick of my voice, all right? But pretty much today we're going to be talking about plateaus. And I know a lot of people probably struggle with being able to overcome plateaus within their training, within their health and fitness journey. But pretty much today, I want to speak about my own examples and obviously tips and tricks to kind of break through those plateaus, because at the end of the day, you know, you've been training hard, you've been eating clean, but suddenly you've hit a wall and you're not going beyond that, you're not reaching your goal, and you're sitting there scratching your head going, man, like what am I doing wrong? How do I break through this? And that's why I'm here today, to obviously kind of delve into that a bit for you, and hopefully you guys take something away, excuse me, to be able to just use for yourself, to go, okay, sweet, let me try this, maybe it'll work, and yeah, hopefully you continue to reach your goals and just chase after it. So pretty much, why do plateaus happen in the first place? The body's very smart, and it's something that I think a lot of people underestimate. The body is a very smart mechanism, and it will adapt to what you're doing over a prolonged period of time. An example that I use is something that I think everyone will understand. Say, for example, take the exercise bench press, because it's one of the most popular and common exercises that everyone knows. If you're doing the same weight for the same reps, for the same amount of sets every day for the last 6 months, like, your body's just going to adapt to that. After 4 weeks, your body will pretty much adapt to it. And you can't expect to then get stronger in your bench press if you're doing the same weight for the same reps for the same amount of sets, right? So this is where the body now needs to, you need to actually introduce something different, you know, something so simple as one of the methods that we use of progressive overload, you know, whether it's increasing weight or increasing reps or increasing sets or even decreasing rest time or increasing rest time. Some form of progressive overload to take your body to a place where it wants to get stronger, it wants to build more muscle, and you're not letting it just get used to doing the same thing over and over and over again. But in saying that, a lot of people look at, you know, plateaus from a training aspect. Not many people, or a lot more people are doing it nowadays, but not many people think straight away of any gaps within their nutrition. Am I eating enough? Am I eating too much? Am I not having enough protein? Is my body not absorbing the nutrients that I'm putting into it? Do I have, you know, any gut health issues that I need to fix, or an autoimmune disease that I don't know about? There's a lot of nutrition gaps and health gaps that a lot of people don't or aren't really aware of. And one of the biggest ones that I mentioned just then is people not eating enough. I've seen it countless times. People coming in and they're training and they're like, man, last week this felt so easy. Why does it feel so hard now? You know, this session feels so much harder than it should be. The weights are pretty much the same. What's going on? And I ask them, you know, well, how much have you eaten today? Oh, I've only had 2 meals. What time did you wake up? 6 a.m. It's 7 o'clock at night. You're telling me in 13 hours you've only eaten twice? Well, no wonder why your training's poor today. You've got no energy. Your body's got nothing to produce. And so that will then affect that session, which means that if it affects the next week, because of the fact that you didn't give your body the means necessary to be able to go into that session, train hard, push past the boundaries, break that plateau. So a lot of nutrition gaps is something that not a lot of people are aware of. And like I said, one of the most common ones is not eating enough food, right? So make sure, guys, that you're not coming into the gym, you know, eating once or twice. Fuel yourself properly so then you can go into that session, train hard, and build towards the following week. Another one, recovery issues. people aren't recovering properly. Now, the whole concept, and I know everyone has probably heard this before, overtraining. I don't like the concept of overtraining because I don't believe you can overtrain. I believe you under-recover, right? And what I mean by that is that I know so many people that train 5, 6, 7 days a week, and they're fine. They're breaking plateaus, they're hitting goals, they're looking great, they're getting stronger, but they prioritize their recovery. And what I mean by that is the simple thing of managing stress by sleeping better. How many of you, and I want you guys just to take a moment, right? How many of you sleep 4 to 5 hours a night? A lot of you, eh? Some of you might sleep 6, some might sleep 7. We want to aim for anywhere between 7 to 9 hours a night. That's where you're going to have optimal recovery from sleep, which is one of the biggest drivers for stress management, right? Sleep is king. If you want to grow, you want to get stronger, you want to lose fat, you need to make sure that your sleep is on point. And something so simple as improving the quality and the quantity of your sleep will actually help you break those plateaus much easier, right? Now, when you look at it, right, when you look at it from a training performance point of view, and you look at those aspects that I just mentioned, right? Fiddling with your training program, right? Applying progressive overload, fixing any gaps within your nutrition, fixing your recovery by improving your sleep quality and quantity and improving your stress management, right? When you put all of those things together, you now have the formula for breaking through plateaus much easier. It shouldn't be complicated. All it requires you is to sit down, make note of what you're doing, track what you're doing. And then when you track everything that you're doing, you'll start to see the gaps that the gaps that you need to fill, either things that you're missing or things you need to improve on, or maybe things that you need to pull back on. Maybe you're training too much for what your body's recovering from. So maybe pulling it back from 6 days to 4 days, making those 4 days of training more intense, and then prioritizing recovery over the next 3 days. That might get you hitting your goal even more in a much more efficient manner, right? So there are gaps that we all have, myself included. There's things that I work on every single day, every single week to ensure that I'm, being the best that I can be when it comes to being inside the gym and hitting my goals and, hitting PBs and having a really good physique. There's all these different things that I focus on every day and every week to ensure that there aren't as many gaps as there were last week, and I'm just filling them in and getting better every time. Now, going back to what I said when it came to how to break through those plateaus, a big aspect also is your lifestyle habits, right? And what do I mean by lifestyle habits? You're not tracking your training. I know so many people that just walk into the gym and just do what they feel like, right? And I know so many people that walk into the gym and they're not tracking what they did the day before or the week before. So they don't remember what weights they did. There's no plan and there's no process with what they're doing when it comes to their training. And we want to ensure that that's not the case. Why? Because of the fact that if you're not tracking your training, then how are you supposed to apply the principle of progressive overload, for example? If you don't know what weight you did last week, or you're just coming in with no direction, no plan, and you're just kind of winging it. It doesn't work like that, right? Once you put yourself on a training program and you start tracking your training, your reps, your sets, the weight that you're lifting, your rest time, you'll see the biggest difference in the space of 2 to 4 weeks with what your physique looks like, with how much stronger you feel, with how much better your training is, and honestly, how much enjoyable your training becomes, right? Now, when we're looking at other ways to break through your plateaus, like I said, nutrition gaps. I recommend everyone, if you haven't already, spend 1 to 3 days just tracking your food, right? You don't need to be very specific in the sense of track every calorie and macro that you eat, but just track your food. Grab a diary, grab a piece of paper, grab your laptop, and just note down what you're eating, how much you're eating, when you're eating. And then you'll see if there are gaps in your food in the sense of you're not having enough protein, you're not having enough calories per day, and you'll be able to determine whether you need to increase your food intake or decrease your food intake, or just understand where you're at with your nutrition. So then you know that what you're doing on the outside of the gym is obviously helping what you're doing inside the gym as well. So there's just a few little tips that you can use to ensure that you're breaking through those plateaus and making sure that the goal that you want to achieve becomes achievable, right? One of the most disheartening things I see is when people have this goal and they know what they want to do, right? They know what numbers they want to lift, or they know what they want to look like, or they know what body fat percentage they want to be, they know what body weight they want to be, and they've got this goal and they're riding all their emotion on this goal, but they're not doing anything to actually achieve that goal. And they're just doing the same thing over and over and over again, and 6 months passes and they're in the same spot. Right, they're hitting the same wall and they haven't broken through that plateau at all. You need to track everything that you do to understand where you need to improve on, right? What gaps need to be filled. And I know I sound like I'm repeating myself, but I need you guys to really understand that. Tracking everything that you're doing is key to be able to break through any plateau. And I'm going to use an example from myself. Obviously, I compete in powerlifting. I've done bodybuilding, but I compete in powerlifting at the moment. And one of the biggest goals I had was benching 180 kilos. And I achieved that. But for so long, I was stuck at, anywhere between 160 to 170. I just could not break that at all. And I realized that for myself, I wasn't eating enough. And so we stripped things back in terms of training. We focused a lot more on my food and my nutrition. We went through a few phases of hypertrophy to build more muscle whilst pumping myself with more calories and just more food in general. Built more muscle, got a bit bigger in terms of muscle mass. And then slowly started to kind of train the new lean muscle tissue that I had built to become strong. Took myself through a few strength phases, and then before you know it, I hit 180 kilos at New South Wales state titles back in December 2023. And it was a clean 180, and it felt like absolute peanuts. And I looked at myself and the head judge, and he looked at me as if like, fuck that flu. And I was like, are you sure that was 180 kilos? It felt so easy. But I spent about 5 to 6 months stripping everything back and filling the gaps that I had been missing out on. And then I literally broke through that plateau within 5-6 months, and I hit a PB for myself, and I hit a PB within my weight class as well, right? So that's just a little example of what it takes to be able to break through a plateau. It might not be a number in the sense of a number that you want to hit with a certain lift, but any plateau, whether it's you're stuck at 100 kilos on the scale and you just want to see that 9, you just want to see double digits and you want to see that 9, you have to find what you're missing, and you need to be able to strip it back, track what you're doing in order to see what's going on, so then you can fix it and then be on your way to breaking that plateau. Okay? So quick recap, like I said, plateaus are annoying. They're very annoying. They're very frustrating. They can be demotivating. Don't let any plateau that you're hitting at the moment become destructive for you. Don't let it demotivate you, because there is a way that you guys can ensure that you break through that wall, break through that plateau, and keep moving forward. As a coach, as someone in the health and wellness industry, all I want to see is people achieve goals. I love when a client sits there after I've done a body fat test with them, or they're hitting a PB, and that look on their face when they've reached their goal, they've hit their goal, they break that plateau. It is so rewarding. Right? And there's nothing better as a coach than seeing someone fulfill the potential that they didn't even know that they had. So, if you feel like this, if you're banging your head against the wall going, man, why the fuck aren't I just reaching my goal? I'm like almost there. Take the advice that I've just given you guys, right? Take the tips I've given you. Strip it back, write it down, or better yet, right? And this isn't me, promoting what we do, but hire a coach. This is what we do. We do this for you. We understand and have the education behind us to be able to go, okay, sweet. I've got all the info from you. Let's put it up on a wall. Let's see what's going on. And then we'll fill in the gaps for you. Right? Sometimes it's very overwhelming to do it on your own because you have everything else to worry about in your life. Hire a coach. Mark my words, hire a coach. It'll be the best thing that you ever did. And then you'll be on your way to smashing PBs and, fitting into the bikini that you want to fit into, right? Now, to finish it all off, I really do encourage you guys, if you haven't already, contact us at Platinum Training Academy. Because like I said, we're here. We want to support you. I know how many people listen to our podcast and watch our podcast, and I love it. And thank you so much, guys, for the support. But if anything that I've just said resonates with you, reach out. Even if you just want to ask a question, reach out. Hit us up. Let us help you out as much as we can. And I'll catch you guys in the next episode. I hope you enjoyed this episode. I wrote it solo today, but I hope you guys took something away from what I spoke about. Because like I said, plateaus are a gronk, and we don't want to be stuck doing the same thing over and over again. All right. This is Alex. Peace out. Thank you very much.